What's up everybody, see you again on the Fake MMA News. Again, we will inform you the latest news from the MMF special UFC. And just listen.
Khamzat Chimaev drops shocking sparring revelation ahead of UFC 319 showdown with dricus du Plessis. Have you ever witnessed Khamzat Chimaev spar? If not, here's the reality. Borz is a beast both in the cage and on the mats. Recently, the undefeated Chechen juggernaut shared an old photo of him locking Caio Borralho in a rear naked choke during sparring. This level of intensity isn't reserved for fight night. Just ask Robert Whittaker, who was demolished in under 3 minutes at UFC 308. But what does Chimaev really think about going hard in sparring? In a candid conversation with Kazakh comedian Nurlan Sabarov, Chimaev surprised fans with a surprisingly thoughtful stance. "Even in the best sparring sessions, I'm not trying to injure anyone," said Chimaev. "I don't want to cripple somebody with a leg kick or land heavy shots with my arm. That's not the point." He emphasized that going all out in sparring can be counterproductive. Sometimes you train super hard for weeks, but when it's time to fight, your body doesn't respond. And if your training partner holds back because they're afraid of getting hurt, you both lose. We need to grow together. Despite this controlled approach, training with Chimaev is anything but easy. Caio Borralho has gone on record calling him the toughest sparring partner he's ever faced due to his relentless style and wrestling background. Another teammate, Blake Oswald, even said training with Chimaev was a game changer that pushed him to raise his own level. Chimaev also delivered a bold take. If you're winning every sparring session, you're doing something wrong. In a 2023 interview with Red Corner MMA, he explained that true progress comes from struggling in training. Mat time, wrestling, grappling, sparring, that's what sharpens your fight IQ. That's where you grow. Running and CrossFit just keep you in shape. In fact, Chimaev once sparred with a 300-pound opponent just to push his limits and beat him. Now, with Dana White officially confirming that Chimaev will return to face dricus du Plessis at UFC 319 on August 16th at the United Center in Chicago, fans can expect Borz to bring everything he's learned into the biggest fight of his career, one that could crown him middleweight champion. Do you think Chimaev will conquer du Plessis and claim UFC gold, or will the South African shock the world? Let us know your take in the comments. From unknown savage to the division's worst nightmare, the brutal, chaotic rise of Khamzat Chimaev. When Khamzat Chimaev first entered the octagon in July 2020, he was a complete unknown, just another name on the undercard. But what happened next made history. In just 10 days, Chimaev smashed John Phillips with a Darce choke submission at UFC Fight Night Qatar vs. IJ, and then brutalized Rhys McKee with a first-round TKO at UFC Fight Night Whittaker vs. Till. The MMA world was stunned. 2 fights, 2 finishes, 10 days apart. A terrifying new force was born. Then came Gerald Meerschaert. At UFC Fight Night Covington vs. Woodley, September 2020, the storyline was clear. Could someone finally test Chimaev? Instead, Chimaev ended it in 17 seconds with one devastating punch. Critics began whispering, "Is this guy even human?" But the fairy tales almost ended early. The COVID-19 pandemic hit Chimaev hard. He was hospitalized with lingering symptoms, coughing up blood, and even announced his retirement on Instagram in early 2021, saying, "I think I'm done." The world thought the Khamzat era was over before it even began. But inside, Borz was only getting angrier. He returned at UFC 267 against veteran Li Jingliang. In a chilling performance, Chimaev lifted the leech off his feet, talked to Dana White while carrying him, and then submitted him with a rear naked choke, all without absorbing a single strike. The monster was back, and somehow even more terrifying. Next came a true war. At UFC 273, Chimaev faced Gilbert Burns, a top 3 welterweight, and for the first time, Khamzat bled. In a brutal back-and-forth firefight, Chimaev showed he had heart as well as savagery, winning by unanimous decision, but leaving the cage bloodied and humanized. Many said it was fight of the year, but it also sparked a question. Was Borz invincible after all? Then came the weight drama. Scheduled to headline UFC 279 against Nate Diaz, Chimaev missed weight by nearly 8 pounds, causing the entire event to be reshuffled at the last minute. Fans booed him, media questioned his professionalism, and Dana White was furious. But Chimaev didn't care. He bulldozed Kevin Holland in under 3 minutes with a Darce choke submission, never once looking in danger. Love him or hate him, you couldn't ignore him. The next target, Kamaru Usman. At UFC 294, Chimaev fought the former welterweight king on just 10 days' notice after Paulo Costa pulled out. Usman stepped up a weight class, but Chimaev's relentless grappling sealed a majority decision victory. Though questions lingered. Was Chimaev starting to slow down? Was he still the unstoppable juggernaut? And finally, the biggest statement yet. At UFC 308, Chimaev clashed with former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Many thought this would be his toughest challenge yet. Instead, Chimaev dominated Whittaker on the ground, sinking in a rear naked choke in the first round at 334, making it look easy against one of the best middleweights ever. From a silent fighter at Fight Island to a destroyer of legends, through illness, controversy, weight chaos, and wars inside the cage, Khamzat Chimaev now stands on the doorstep of UFC gold. And when he finally seizes it, one truth will remain. The rise of Boers was never clean, never perfect, but it was unstoppable.